Hi Van Community, it's Mike here, and today I'm going to tell you about my visit to Leeds Record Fair, which was the Saturday before Record Store Day, and it was a bit of a meet-up, and there were four of us, but I also want to show you some VCLT that I received, and also I'll be showing you the records that I've been listening to in the last 2 or 3 weeks, and that includes all these records that I picked up at the record fair. So, first of all, yeah, the record fair. So it was a little meet up, and there were four of us all together. So there was Nick's vinyl butty, and Nick comes up quite regularly. There was no Ian this time, but just Nick on his own. And then we had Rob Walker. Rob Walker let the music play, who you'll all know. He came over from Manchester, and then somebody who I hadn't met other than sort of a chat online previously, and that's Midge. Midge's Vinyl Gems. And Midge, you'll know, is the reigning VC quiz champion. So we had a lovely day. So we had a bit of a dig around. Then we had a little break, had a coffee and a chat, and then went back, had another dig, went to the pub, had a pint and a chat, and then after that, Nick and I went back to the record fair just as it was closing at around about 3:30, 4 o'clock, and I picked up another record at that point as well. So, without further ado, I'll show you what I picked up. So, first of all, there was this album, and as you can see, it's by a band called Mellow Candle, and it's called Swaddling Songs. It's on the Durham label, which is the progressive imprint of Decca Records, as you'll know. And this is a 2020 reissue of an album from 1972. Now, if you were to look up an original of this on Discogs, I think the median is around about £1,500. And as you can imagine, this 2020 reissue was far more reasonable than that. A mere fraction of the price of the original. And I think somebody has shown an original of this quite recently. Now, I think it will either be Jonas of vinyls.com, or it may have been Jack of Vinyl Voyage. Or it could have been somebody else, or it could have been none of those, but I just get the feeling that somebody had actually shown an original of this at some point. So anyway, so this band, they're kind of mainly from Ireland. It's, the proggy end of folk, I would describe this as. And, the band themselves, they have their origins, I suppose, back in 1963 at a girls' convent school in Ireland, where three girls got together as 10-year-olds, and they formed a little band called the Gatecrashers, and they modelled themselves on the American girl groups. And two of the members of the Gatecrashers eventually became members of Mellow Candle, along with some other musicians, and they released a single back in 1968 when they were about 15 years old. And this album from 1972. And in between releasing the single and releasing this album, they had a little bit of success, at least sort of, in the sense of touring and supporting other sort of bands. They appeared on the same bill as Fairport Convention at a festival in Ireland, I believe. And they'd also supported Lindisfarne and Steel Eye Span at some point. So, they were getting a bit of recognition. But unfortunately, when this album was released, it did absolutely nothing, and it's a real shame. And I'll show you the inside of the gatefold here. So there's a picture of all the band members there, 5 of them, and then you've got the sort of on the other side, you've got the lyrics and everything. And it came with this rather nice inner as well, which has got some more photographs, and then a little bit of blurb at the top and photographs. And it's a shame really that this album didn't do very well because it's really quite nice. and I love the cover. And tracks on here. What shall I say? Yeah. Bile Beware, a track on side two, is one that I think is really nice. And then there's The Poet and the Witch on side one, which is probably the most sort of folk psyche of the tunes here. But yeah, it's a really really lovely listen. And as I say, I was really pleased to pick it up, and especially after I picked up a couple of sort of folk psych albums at the record fair back in March, and I picked up a couple this time, including this one. So yeah, that's the first one. Now the second album, and now this is why it always pays to go for a dig at a record fair with people that people that know what you like, and people that know perhaps what you're going to be looking for, because we got to a point where sort of Midge and I were looking at some records and crates on the table, and they were all a tenner each. And Midge started at one end of the table, I started at the other, and before long, he said, "Hey Mike, I think you might like this," and he was right. And it's an album by Bread, Love and Dreams, and I picked up Amaryllis by Bread, Love and Dreams when I was at a record fair in March. So I was really pleased to get this. So I snapped that one up, and it's a reissue on the Magic Box label, and it's from 2021. And yeah, so there's a little sort of inner here, which has got photographs and various details there, and it's called The Strange Tale of Captain Shannon and the Hunchback from Gear, or Gaia, I think it is how you pronounce it. And as I say, it's a bit of folk psych, and Bread, Love and Dreams were essentially sort of, at this point, the two people. It was David McNiven, who I think wrote most of the tunes. In fact, I think he wrote most of the tunes on here. And then Angie Rue, and who plays guitars and various percussion. And David is guitars, vocal, and flute. And I mean they both share the vocals on this, and it's a really nice album. And it's an album of two sides, two different sides, and they kind of explain it on here. And it's as so through side one, the band are concerned with heavy semi-electric sounds, and the songs are all practical expressions of urban paranoia, reaching a natural climax in "He Who Knows All." And yes, it's quite a dark, sort of quite heavy sort of psych at that point, on that side of the album. But side two is very different indeed, and it says side two they changed to a lighter acoustic sound, so it's more sort of like folk psyche sound, and I think I prefer side two to side one, although it's a close call really. And so on side two, they recall their childhood experiences and fantasies, ending with the strange tale. And this is a really nice album. As I say, sort of, thanks very much, Midge, for finding that and pulling it out for me, because I may not have noticed it. So so there you go. Two Bread, Love and Dreams albums in 2 visits to Leeds Record Fair. That was very nice indeed. Right, next off, a band who are sort of progressive, experimental, ambient, and they're known for their film soundtracks, particularly in sort of horror films. And it's this band, Goblin. This is an album from 1979. It's a reissue, and the film is Zombie, and it's a George A. Romero sort of story. And yeah, so the band, there they are. they do what they do. You know, they're very good at sort of interpreting this stuff, and it's quite dark, and you know, you get the impression that this is certainly the soundtrack to some sort of horror film, and yeah, it's really really nice. And Goblin, I suppose, are best known for their soundtrack of Suspiria. And on Record Store Day, there was an album, and it was a collection of their singles. I didn't bother to pick it up because I wasn't that interested in the singles really. But yeah, so there was a collection of their singles for Record Store Day. So this is Goblin, a bit of experimental psych, and a lovely sort of soundtrack. So that was that. Right. Next off, a bit of reggae, or more precisely, a bit of dub. And when Nick and I went back to the record fair after we'd been to the pub, I managed to find this, and it's a great scientist, and this is a scientist sort of heavyweight dub champion, and it's Hopton Overton Brown. That's a scientist's sort of real name, and he was a protege of King Tubby, and this album was released in 1980. This is a reissue from fairly recently, 2015, and it is really really nice. Nice dub. I really like Scientist. I've got a couple of other Scientist albums. So it says it was mixed at King Tubby's by Scientists, and then it says all rhythm tracks were laid at Channel 1 Studios. So Channel 1 Studios and King Tubby's are responsible for this album. And yeah, it was really really nice bit of dub really, and yeah, I was pleased to find that, and it was brand new in its shrink, and it was very, very cheap, so I was really pleased to sort of pick that right at the end of the record fair. And talking of reggae, I'll show you a bit of VCLT. And this VCLT came from Nick's Vinyl Butty. And Nick was going to bring this record up to Leeds and give it to me there, but unfortunately he'd ordered it. It was meant to arrive the week before, and by Friday it hadn't arrived, so he sent it on to me a few days later when it finally did arrive. Now this is a reggae singer. This guy that Nick has been singing this guy's praises for quite a long time now, and I've listened a few times online to stuff, and I thought, yeah, this is really good. So when he presented me with this album, I was really really happy. It's a really nice album. It's old school reggae. And this is a singer. He's called Alpheus, and I'd say the album's called The Victory, and it's a collaboration with the musician and producer Roberto Sanchez, and there they are, the pair of them on the back, and it's released by a Madrid record label, Liquidator Music International, and again, the blurb, I think, sort of sums up the album sort of quite well. It says, on this fabulous new set, we can hear Alpheus' resonant and soulful voice sing songs of upliftment, is that a word? Yeah, I think it is. Empowerment and love. Both lyrics and musical compositions have been written to perfection by this melodious partnership. So, yeah. So this is the fourth collaboration between these two, apparently, and it's probably about 7 or 8 albums altogether that Alpheus has made so far. And yeah, I was really really pleased to get this. So thanks once again, Nick. And I'll be listening to this a lot, and probably before too long I'll be getting some more Alpheus albums. So the tracks on here: The Victory, Hooray, Rudy's, which is a really good track. Valiant, that's lovely, and then it finishes off with a track called We Are the People, and I really like that as well. But it's a cracking album, sort of from start to finish, and it's kind of old school reggae really, and I love that sort of thing. So that's the reggae, right? And the final record fair sort of pickup is an EP, and it's an EP from sort of New York, sort of indie folk band, I suppose. Yeah, it's 10,000 Maniacs. It's their debut EP, and as you can see, it's called Human Conflict Number 5, and it's songs about war and the futility of it, I suppose. And inside you got a rather rather sad sort of facsimile of a newspaper spread, and this is all these little pictures are all the American servicemen that died in Vietnam during sort of one week in 1969. Yes, from May the 28th to June the 3rd, 1969. And yeah, so there's 5 tracks on here. There's Tension, Planned Obsolescence, Orange, which is about Agent Orange and the terrible effect it had on the people of Vietnam. Groove Dub, and then the final track is called Anthem for Doomed Youth, and it's an adaptation of Wilfred Owen's famous sort of war poem, and it's sort of been kind of brought up to date to talk about sort of Vietnam and other modern conflicts, rather than about World War One. So that was that. I've never seen this EP before, so I picked it up, and I love Natalie Marchant's voice. I think she's got absolutely fantastic singing style. So that was final record fair pickup. But I'll show you now what else I've been listening to, and again it's quite mixed. So first off, I thought, as I bought the 10,000 Maniacs EP. I'd have another listen to this, and this is The Wishing Chair, which is the second album, and it's from, after I wrote it, in 1985, and it's produced by Joe Boyd, the American who was so influential in the British sort of folk rock scene of the late 60s, sort of early 70s, and he's produced quite a lot of the sort of really sort of great albums. So this is it. It's an album that I've had for years, and I still listen to it time and again. So there you go. There's the lyrics there, and then pictures of the band at the moment. So to say that, I mean, Robert Black is probably the other sort of mainstay of the band, but Natalie Merchant, I think it's Natalie's voice that sort of really makes it for me. So. Yeah, so the tracks on here starts off with Can't Ignore the Train, and then you've got the folk song, Just As the Tide Was Flowing, that's been done by quite a few people over the years. I mean, I know that Shirley Collins did a rather good version of it back in the 1960s. Lily Dale is quite an interesting sort of little track, and it's about sort of hanging around a cemetery to get a bit of peace, and quite a few of the lyrics are taken from the headstones of in that particular cemetery. And yeah, so it's really nice. Back of the Moon I really like, and then we got My Mother the War, which is the final track, which I believe is a Cat Stevens song. So yes, I've been listening to that. Now, an album which came out sometime last year, probably about a year ago now, and I don't think I showed it at the time, but it's this one, and it's Mandrake Handshake, and it's Earth-Size Worlds, and it's a it's a psychedelic album. It's got sort of jazzy sort of overtones, and it's a double album, but it plays at 45. So it's probably you probably got about three sides of music. You know, had it been played at 33 and a third. But yeah, it's really nice stuff. I mean, the band is sort of more of a sort of collective than a solid sort of permanent group, I think. But the lead vocalist on this, she's called Trinity Oksana, and she reminds me very much of Sky Edwards from Morcheeba. Yeah, it's got that sort of trip hop sort of sensibility to it, her voice, and yeah, I really love this album. Time Goes Up, which is the first track on side one, is really fantastic. But they all are. Lorenzo's Desk, Find the Tree, and Dig Deep is another one. And the reason I dug this out to listen to it is because they did a session on KEXP quite recently, and I listened to that and I thought this is really good. And I've not, as I say, I've not listened to the album for probably about three months or so, and I thought, and I haven't shown it either. So there you go. So this is a nice bit of psych, Mandrake Handshake. And if you wonder where they got their name from, it's from a track by Brian Jonestown Massacre. So I thought I'd get the album out. So it's from their album. That's that's what's called mini album thingy wingy, or maybe just called Pish if you look at the front. But yeah, the second to last track on this album, as I say, it's a mini album. It's quite short, and the second to last track is called Mandrake Handshake. And I'm sure Brian Jonestown Massacre. Very psyche. I love this band. I saw them live. It might have been about 10 years ago now, and I recall they were really excellent on that day. So, the mainstays here, you've got Anton Newcomb and Tess Parks are on this album, and the sort of Newcomb and Parks sort of have collaborated on sort of on non Brian Jonestown Massacre albums under their sort of own names, and so this is a really nice sort of psych album, which I'm sure you're probably aware of. But I thought I'd dig it out because of their connection with Mandrake Handshake. Right. So what's next? Yeah, just a couple to go, and a bit of Desert Blues, and it's this one, and it's Songhoy Blues, and it's Resistance, and there you go. That's the album there, and this album was from 2017, and it was their second album. So they're from Timbuktu, Mali. So very much sort of in the Desert Blues tradition. If you know Tanarawan, you know what I mean. And so this is a really sort of lovely sort of, as I say, desert blues album. And the tracks on here, Vota, Bamako is a really nice track. And then you've got a track called Sahara, and Iggy Pop features on this, and I think it's quite an unusual collaboration, really. You don't really associate Iggy Pop with Desert Blues, do you? But there you go. And it's again, an album that I dragged out that I hadn't listened to for quite some time, and I'm glad that I did. And it's this one, Desert Blues by Songhoy Blues and Resistance from 2017. Right, and the final one, and it's by a producer, musician, singer, and her name's Miriam Kudos, and she goes under the pardon me, she goes under the name of Space Moth. And let's say this album's called No Past, No Future, and it's from 2022, and it's her debut album. And she's got a new album coming out sometime in the next couple of months. So I think I'll probably be getting hold of that. So there you go. So that's the inside there. So what's it like? So she's a freelance sort of engineer and producer and musician, and she's from California. And this is very much sort of psychedelic, experimental stuff. There's a lot of keyboards on here. Synthesizer, and it's a really quite a nice sort of soundscape. Really, this album. And I'm very much looking forward to the next album. So there you go. So I'll show you the back so you can see what the tracks are called. And so that was it. So basically, that's what I've been listening to. That was my trip to Leeds Record Fair with various friends a couple of weeks ago. So. Yeah, I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, leave me a comment, please, and thank you very much. Until next time, so bye then.